Okay. Hi, everyone. So I'm going to be interviewing my brother, who his name is Ryan, and he's 27 years old. He's currently, well, he has been living in Arizona, Scottsdale, Arizona for the last 10 years.
I mean, that's what it feels like. It's probably been closer to like 8 most recently,
Okay. So I'm
but
kind of,
I don't know. It's a little tricky. I've been saying 8 years for a long time.
Ryan, you are like the perfect person for these sort of interviews. Um, I know it has nothing to do with what you do for a living, which is a loan
Yeah.
officer,
Hmm.
mortgage loan officer specifically, and you're absolutely great at that. So if anybody needs any help with that, he's really good at that. So what's next? Oh, I do typically like to talk a lot about the Myers-Briggs personality types on my YouTube channel, Ryan. So I'm just
Hmm.
gonna mention the type that you are, just for the audience,
Yeah.
to know. And that the last one
Hmm.
that we know of from you, which is an ENFJ, right?
Yeah.
That seems pretty correct to me. Uh,
Hmm.
okay, and so what this interview is going to consist of is going to be a little bit of different kinds of questions. Some of them, really, all of them have no right or wrong answer. It's just your own personal
Of
opinion on different kinds of stuff. I don't think I'm going
course.
to be giving my answer. Um, I might I might add a little comment here and there just to, I don't know, just so that whoever's
Well,
watching
for
can
the sake of the
understand
discussion,
where huh?
for the sake of the discussion.
Right. Yes. Uh, okay. Is justice possible?
Ooh. Right. Just because obviously we had technical issues with the first batch of questions. I'm sure we're going to have a couple of duplicates because the questions were really good. And it seems like we're not having any issues with the recording this time around. So that's great. But I'm glad that you threw in something new just because these
Oh,
kinds of questions,
wait a minute, because they don't know that this is like our second time doing it. And what I didn't want to throw in the same questions. And
yeah.
so that's why
Okay. Even
I
better.
came up with these new questions. Okay,
Yeah.
so go ahead.
Okay. Um, my thought is depends on the person, right? So I'm sure that's going to be a recurring pattern with a lot of the questions that you're going to have, right? Because like you said, they're very introspective, they're very opinion based, but this one in particular really does depend what somebody defines really as justice. An eye, like what, an eye for an eye, it just doesn't seem like a good philosophy. I even had a particular instance not long ago where me and my brother, who lives with me, we kind of butted heads, right? He did something that really pissed me off. Um, I didn't address it at the time because he was with other people, right? I didn't want to put him in that kind of situation. But the very next day, first thing I do when I wake up, this is so wrong, but like I'm still frustrated. It's not like me. But before I even leave my room, right, I sent him a message saying, "Hey, this is what you're gonna like. This is what you better do to make things right. Like, I am not taking no for an answer." We got into this big old discussion just over like text and phone stuff, right? And when I finally just got out of my room to go and get some coffee and start my morning routine, there was already a gift on the counter that he had already gotten to make things right. If I had only taken the time to walk out of my room, I would have seen that. Um, and I just realized, even though you could have justified that I was trying to get justice, I was trying to make things right. Two wrongs don't make a right. So what I ended up doing was I ran to the store right after that, and I got him a present too, and I got him a card, and I left it, in front of his room, and I said, "Hey, um, I reacted too fast. That's not like me. And you know what? Two wrongs don't make a right, but maybe two rights can right a wrong." So I think that's a good example. I think a lot of times it just depends on what you mean by justice. I think seeking for things to be equal is just not a winning proposition. It's just not. Like, life is not equal. Sucks, but it's just not. So, to each their own justice.
Yeah.
I guess.
Yeah.
I
As
don't
much
know.
as one can possibly get to that, as much as
Hmm.
possible, because there are not enough resources for equality, for justice. Well,
We're
equality and
also
justice
like,
are different, though. I need to stop myself there. They're
yeah.
very different. But I just don't think that there are enough resources for justice, because it's never going to be enough. In the eyes of a human, it's just never going to be enough. There's always going to be that one person that's going to be like, well,
Hmm.
I think.
And I mean, in life inherently isn't just, I mean, I don't know, maybe it's not equal, but just I mean, the argument can be made, but if you're trying to, yeah, maybe I'm just trying to split the hairs between equality and justice. Um, I guess it just depends on what you're looking for with the justice, you know?
Yes. Yes. Okay. Oh, we could go down that one, but let's move on to the next one.
Of course.
Oh, actually, this is kind of a little bit tied into the one that I just asked you.
Yeah.
Should empathy always be implemented? I kind of don't like to, like, I was trying to rephrase that and remove the always from that question, because I don't like to speak in absolutes, because there's always, like, again, I should not speak in
Yeah.
absolutes, but you know what I mean? Like, should
Mhm.
we always apply empathy?
Yes, I personally believe, to be honest, absolutely, in almost all walks. You can't just always let your empathy be the final decision maker, but it should always be something in any discussion, in any situation. It should at least be something that crosses your mind, even from a negotiation purpose. The odds of you getting somebody else to agree with you before you agree with them is, going back to the other thing, it's a losing proposition. You can strong arm somebody to see your way, but if they don't truly believe that you ever saw it from their point of view in any way, shape, or form, doesn't even always have to be an argument. Then you're doing something wrong. Now, the reason I'm saying that it should not be the leading decision maker is, I don't. Let's say you're in a relationship, right? Let's say you're in a relationship and you feel something's wrong. You're just it's not it. It's not, you're not feeling how you're supposed to be feeling. Now, I'm not here to be the guy that dictates what a good relationship is or not. Okay, that's not what I'm saying. But I'm just saying, if you're not feeling it, right? I know that I've been in this situation. Like, I've been trying to be overly, like, so empathetic that I'm like, well, they don't see it that way. Like, maybe I can see it from their perspective, but it's like, no, I can. But that, like, don't be so caught up in what the other person's feeling that you think your opinion doesn't matter anymore. Yours matters too. So empathy is super important, but don't let it necessarily supersede your own opinion that also matters.
Okay. Okay. That's a very important piece of advice. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, because definitely someone can be they can drown so much in empathy. For me, I definitely, that happens to me, that I drown so much in empathy that I start to, like, become weak
Yeah,
by it.
I've been guilty of this as well. I've prolonged my own pain, my own suffering, small stuff, right? I'm not, like, not true pain and suffering, but I've prolonged my own pain and my own suffering with the effort of not of protecting somebody else from it. And you know what? Ain't not. I mean, it's a noble cause. It is, but it's not always the best way to live. I consider myself somebody that can probably take more emotionally than your average person. But there's a limit. There's a line. And sometimes when you get too caught up in empathy, you don't know where to draw that line, and you end up getting too drained. It's too much. Everybody has a line somewhere. No matter how much you want to give, everybody has a line of, like, okay, now I'm deteriorating myself.
Let me
So
ask you another question that's sort of related to this, that I wasn't planning on it, but I just thought about it. Do you think that suffering is necessary?
I think it's inevitable and it's absolutely necessary. 100%. 100%.
Why?
I mean, because almost everything that's worth achieving, like, you go through pain. If you learn to love that pain, though, like, define suffering. because suffering and pain don't necessarily have to be, the same thing, right? There's a great book on it by Mark Ronson, The Subtle Art of Not Giving a Blank. And same thing, it talks about like you want a great body, but you don't want the pain and suffering that goes with it. So there's a disconnect there. What if you start loving that pain? You'll get the results no matter what, but you're just putting yourself through those situations. Going into a career in sales, or going into a career where you're going to suck. The suffering is necessary to get to that next level. You can figure out ways to, what constitutes something that, that you can tolerate. But I mean, what great growth doesn't come through some sort of growing pain or suffering? Anything that's worth it.
Yeah. Yep.
So absolutely.
Great point. So what do you think about? Okay. No, never mind. Okay, continue. This is a really good one. Definitely not related to anything that we've been talking about, but this is a good question.
Okay.
I got this from my philosophy class, actually. He asked, how do you know when you're dreaming?
So my thought on that is, you can break the question down to the most basic form, as in literally dreaming. But on the deeper, grander scheme of things, you're right. How do you know? There's a book that I'm reading right now, The Four Agreements, Miguel Ruiz, and he talks about it basically the whole first paragraph before he even gets into, the whole first section before he even gets to the first agreement just talks about us really just being ethereal beings living almost like a human dream. So in the grand scheme of things, if I'm being honest with you, the answer is too big to even try to fit into a one-on-one conversation. That's more a long-term debate. You get what I'm saying? I'm not trying to duck the question. I'm just saying we could sit here for an hour talking about the differences between reality. Because you might as well have asked, what is reality?
Yes, I know. Yes, exactly. You kind of have to but yes, you're right. We don't have time for that, but I can see how that asking that initial question would lead to the following question that you just said.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. But
not that I don't love that question, but that to me is more of a discussion, because in that one in particular, I don't know that I could ever come up with an answer that I'm satisfied with, or that I can be like, that's how you know. Not good. Good luck with that one.
Where do you think hell is?
It's so funny you say it. The book talks about it as well. Now, you know what? I'm not saying that book has all the answers, right? But it's one perspective. It's one particular perspective that is very, very interesting. And it's not the only book that talks about it. There's another one, Outwitting the Devil by Napoleon Hill. Man, I love books. But both of them have a really cool perspective that hell is right here, right now, what you make of it. You have at every given option, in any given day, to live out your own hell or to live out your own heaven, based on certain principles. You can't use such, frankly, earthly descriptions as like, oh, I missed the bus today, this is hell. Like that's so petty. But you can live in your own hell in terms of always holding on to resentment, holding grudges, jealousy, envy, greed. All of those things can make hell right exactly this. So flames and demons and all that aside, we, like so many of us, live in a day-to-day hell that we select, that we personally say, I'm gonna, going back to the book talks about we are the only creature, pretty much like the only creature that continuously punishes itself for the same thing over and over and over and over again. Whereas most other creatures, make a mistake, maybe they, get hurt or whatever the situation might be, and they move on. They just move on. We hold on to it. We keep it. We keep bringing it up and keep reminding ourselves of our shortcomings and all these different things. We create all of that. and we don't have to. We don't have to live in that hell. So
Mhm.
I believe in that perspective, that hell is all around us. You can choose to live in it or not.
Okay. You can choose. Well, that's something that we talked on the previous video about free will. And you believe in free will, whereas I don't. I don't believe in free will. But then that question, that topic on free will was probably the longest one. But
well, think about this one too, though. Think about Nelson Mandela and how many years he spent in prison. That's a long time,
yeah.
right? But do you think he was living in his own personal hell? Do you think he was happy?
No, I think he was I don't think so. I think he has the strength to decide. But it's just, here's the thing. I don't know. Like, I don't know where our decisions come from. So like, for me to say that he chose, he decided out of his own free will, he decided to not fall into the hell trap. Whereas all these other people, I mean, I don't know. It's like, it's not really clear where our decisions, where our choices come from. I mean, I know that some people, it seems like we have a choice. But I mean, there's a lot of other factors, but okay, well, I mean, I don't know. But that's a very good example, obviously.
Now, was he as happy as he could have been out, I don't know, kicking a ball with his kid and looking at the sunset every night? Sure, no. But all I'm saying is, I don't think he was incarcerated and living in his own personal hell every day of, oh my God, this is horrible. Oh, please put an end to this. No, I guarantee you he was stoic. Like, this is what it is. Stoic mentality. Like, this is neither good or bad. It just is.
It just is. That was a very, I was cornered, but it's in a good way, From one of the other questions. Oh, okay. So this is a question that I definitely want to ask, that we asked in the previous video, that I think is necessary for us to repeat. Is there a need for evidence to determine the truth?
Oh, that's that really, really good one, huh? I'll do my best to replicate what my thoughts were on it, because I mean, I think it's spot on. I think it's always good to search for evidence, just it never hurts. I think blind assessments and extremism are just not good. Swearing that something is right, especially without nothing to back it, it's dangerous. It's a dangerous thought process, but on the other hand, I think that there are things that we just have to accept are in the gray. I wonder what the percentage is if you asked everybody, hey, do you believe everything is black and white, or do you believe there's gray? I'm curious how many would say, black and white or gray. But I think most people, regardless of what they say, live in black and white. So many people I can think of say, no, you're either with me or against me. What is it? Like, even in politics today, you're either red or you're blue. Which one is it?
Yeah.
You can't, you try to make your own argument of like, like, I believe in freedom. No. But what kind of freedom do you believe in? My freedom or their freedom? I hate that mentality. I hate that extremist mentality. So going back to the evidence and the example that we gave you before, is sometimes we just have to admit that the evidence might just not be there. Going back to that picture of something that looks like a 6 or a 9 drawn on the floor. One person standing on one side of the symbol says it's a 6. One person standing on the other side of the symbol says it's a 9. Who's right? The first time that picture ever came out, it said, we can both be right. Then somebody decided to edit that same picture feeling particularly godly and say, no, that's not how this works. Somebody drew either a 6 or a 9. Okay, somebody either drew a 6 or a 9. One of these two people are right. Maybe there's a building that we can use for like reference. Maybe somebody knows who did it, but I think we have to get to the answers, and not getting to the answers is exactly what's wrong with this country. And they went on a rant. I'm like, okay, well, what if the one and only person that drew it died? No family, nobody even knew who they were. All right. What if this person did not have any concept of what numbers were? What if that was a drawing that was incomplete? What if he started drawing something that looked like a 6 or 9, but didn't even finish, died, got bored, changed his mind? All I'm saying is there's a whole different set of things that we aren't even considering, but you are so fixed that somebody drew either a 6 or a 9. You don't know that either. And we might never find out. Maybe one day we do, but what if we don't?
That is precisely the reason why I can never be conclusive about anything, about very many things. Math, yes, but still, like a bunch of information. It's always like, yes, maybe it's an approximation to the truth, but there's people always need to leave the door open to the possibility that it's not complete. There's more information that we don't know about, and that we will never find out. Sometimes we're never going to know. And so, but also, like, do we need evidence to determine the truth? Well, we would have to define what is truth. What is truth? Jordan Peterson says, truth is what works. If it works, it's true enough. And so it's like, well, yeah, I guess so. I mean, if anything that has worked to maintain your life this far, then it has been true enough, per se. So that's that. And related. What do you think women want?
I
know. I had to ask this one.
No, you did. I think there's a lot of things that most of them want, but I just personally, again, I'm not trying to be particularly self-righteous or come off a certain kind of way, but I just don't think you can lump them all together in one particular box. I wouldn't want to be lumped into the same box as men. What do all men want? Like, we're all so different, and y'all are so different. I think one thing that I can mutually agree that all women want, as much as all men want, is the desire to be important. But that's more, what do people want as a whole? The desire, the importance, right? They want to know that they're contributing to society in some way, shape, or form, contributing to their circle, contributing to their family, contributing to something. The desire of some degree of importance. They don't need to all get the mightiest of praise, but I think almost everybody, at least to a certain degree, does desire that. But other than that, I don't have a more playful answer for you.
No, but that's a good one, though. But that is a good one. What's a truth about you that others wouldn't believe?
That's a tough one. I know we talked about this before, and I had an answer. I'm just trying to think if there's maybe another more interesting one. I
know I probably should not end it with that one.
No, that's okay. I mean, I'll get to the point. To be honest, I think I'm really, really transparent. So I don't think there's a lot that people see or know about me, or I don't think there's a lot that people don't know about me or assess about me. I think going back to the answer that I originally had in mind is, I think I'm a lot more careful and calculating and think through the things that I say in all sorts of different scenarios a lot more than people would probably think. A lot more goes into thinking, like how I communicate to certain people or how I present myself in certain situations. I've been really good at adjusting making small tweaks to my personality depending on what group I'm hanging out with. I think I understand people very, very well. Not perfectly. I aim for it. I read books on the regular just because I'm so fascinated by people. I love people, so I think this all just stems from my love and my interest in people as a whole, that I pay so much attention, that I think it's gotten to the point where I've gotten pretty methodical about how I communicate.
Mhm.
Um, Maybe that surprises some people, maybe it doesn't, but that's the best I got.
No, yeah, no, that definitely, I think any INFJ or ENFJ that is listening to this or would be listening to this would totally understand your
Mhm.
your interest in people. I often look up when I'm trying to search for a word as if I'm gonna
Yeah.
find the answers up there, but somehow it just gets to me. It's just funny. I don't know why
Mhm.
I mentioned that.
Well, it's funny, going back to the whole analyzing people, right? Everybody has their own different little quirks, whatever you want to call them. Look up to think of a word. I know I've done that before, but there are so many different assessments that people give to people that I think make absolutely no sense. Like, for example, people say, like, oh, when you cross your arms, you're saying that you're reserved, that you don't want to be communicated. It's just a comfort pose. Same thing, putting your hands in your pocket. They're like, oh, you're communicating that you're closed up. Comfort. It's a comfort thing. Crossing your leg. All of those things, like, it depends on who you ask. And I've even like seen videos and different things about like different like FBI interrogators and stuff like that. They're saying like, oh, people think when they do this, they're lying. There's so many things that are just like, I don't know.
No,
People are interesting, and they're just one of my favorite subjects to just study, human behavior.
And on being able to read people, such as those typical body language, I guess, like these landmarks that these other professionals tell us, that we can immediately make this conclusion that if they put their hands like this, that means that they're like shutting you off. But I think what I've learned is that you kind of have to be with someone long enough to be able to understand what their baseline is. If they
Mm-hmm.
typically do cross their hands like this, then that's their
Yeah.
baseline. That means they're comfortable. But if they do that every now and then, or rarely, then that does mean, and that's something they
Yeah.
leave out. But a lot of the times we don't spend enough time with people to be able to pick up on their baseline. We need at least 30 minutes. At least 30 minutes.
Yeah.
But yes, definitely what I've, now that everything has become more digital and we text with people a lot, or not even that, we're just like putting these likes or emojis on Instagram and stuff like that, and there's not enough face-to-face communication with people. I've realized that humans do have a lot of micro expressions. They show so much. Like, now that I don't have it, like I can pick up so much from people when I do see it, because it's like I'm starving for it, and I pay more attention. It's like, no, you're not gonna get away from me. And it sounds very bad, but it's just like, it's just a way we use that to communicate. We use that because they're not always going to reveal everything to you right off the bat. And so you kind of have to pick up on those things very quickly. Yeah. And so, but yeah, that was my rant. But I don't think I have any more questions for you. That was pretty much it. I think the timing was right. And perfect. It didn't cut off. No technical difficulties this time. It was pretty smooth and easy. So thank you so much, Ryan. Thank you.
No, absolutely. No, they're really fun conversations to have, especially in the form of a discussion. So yeah, feel free to hit me up anytime you want to talk about it.